Baba.
Hello, bache.
New topic.
Always welcome.
Ready? So we are going to understand a lot of basics today. Going to understand things in details. I will tell you. Don't worry.
Okay.
So you remember I taught you a topic which is like the basics of everything, like how ChatGPT works.
Yes. Which is what?
Like what topic did I teach you?
You taught me so many topics, neural networks.
So that is what I was talking about, neural networks. Okay. So I taught you basics of neural networks right now. Right? So you remember that there were nodes in layers, like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3.
Yeah, I remember.
And then it had like all the nodes were connected to each other.
With some different weightages and all.
Correct. So how important is a particular input we understood from the weight.
Yes.
And then there were biases, right? So these weights and biases are called parameters of a model. Okay, so you must have heard that a model is like 12 billion parameter model or 8 billion parameter model.
Yes.
So what happens inside is that in the end there are 12 billion weights and biases that we are trying to learn.
Oh my god, 12 billion.
Yes. Okay. So this is the basics.
Okay.
Now we also talked about one more topic which is called fine tuning.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So why do we need fine tuning?
Basically to retrain the model with the latest inputs available.
Correct. Right? So like for example, if we want a model to be specialized in a particular domain, like medical or like law, because our usual models are generalized models. So like software developers are also using them, lawyers are also using them, medical folks are also using them. But now we want our models to become specialized in a particular domain.
Field, particular domain.
Yes. So then we do retraining of the model or fine tuning of the model.
Yes.
Right? So today we will talk about if the model is so huge, how does fine tuning happen internally?
Okay, interesting.
So how does fine tuning happen internally is the topic of this video.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Very good.
Let's get started.
Definitely.
Before we move ahead, I would just like to take a minute over here to tell you how you can learn live with me at EduCourses. At EduCourses, we have various courses. For interview prep, I have high-level system design, low-level system design, DSA. For project-based learning, if you want to create really interesting, scalable projects, not simple clone ones, check out HHLD. It is MERN plus DevOps plus HLD. We have hands-on generative AI course where I have not just covered the application side, but also the internals of LLMs in a lot of detail with white paper discussions, transformer architecture, and so much more. 10 hands-on projects have been covered over there. Please check out the curriculum, the testimonials, the LinkedIn profiles of all our students is tagged. Plus, if you enroll for any of our courses, you get lifetime access to all the patches, the past patches, the future patches. So you will get access to the Zoom recordings of the live class. So you actually get a feeling that it is live itself. This is the feedback that I have gotten from all our students, that it really feels like it is live only, even if it is not live. But if you want to attend live only, you will get access to all our future patches as well. So at least check it out. I would love to be part of your further learning journey. And if you still have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at support@educourses.com or just drop a WhatsApp or call us at this number. And now let's continue. For starters, let's get started with the 10 billion parameter model.
10 billion, okay.
So now there are trillion parameter models also, but we are taking one standard 10 billion parameter model. Okay. So now in the end, these parameters are what? Weights and biases are what?
Numbers basically.
It's all numbers, right? Now it is basically decimal number.
Okay.
And in computer, everything is represented in bits, bytes.
Binaries.
Correct? Right?
Yeah.
So every number can be like a 32-bit number, which is like 4 bytes.
Yeah.
Or it can be a 16-bit number.
Yeah.
Let's take 3216, which is like 2 bytes. Okay. Now when we are talking about 10 billion parameters, right? So that will be how much space? Let's just talk about storing 10 billion parameters. So every parameter, let's take the smaller 16-bit for now. So 10 billion into 16 bits, or you can say 2 bytes.
116.
So that is 20 GB actually.
Yeah.
So 20 GB just to store the 10 billion parameters. Then another 20 GB, because you remember for weights and biases, what is the goal of the neural network? That we have to do the training and we have to optimize and find the correct values. Right? Now, to find the correct values, we were doing differentiation and we were finding gradients. So weight and bias with respect to, right? You remember? We have to minimize the cost and all of that, right? So To store the gradients for these, again we need another 20 GB. And then for optimization, because there are algorithms that are running for optimization.
Okay. Yeah.
So it has like, if you see like a normal optimization algorithm, like ADAM is a very famous algorithm, that takes 100 GB for a 10 billion parameter. So if I take 20 GB to store just the parameters, 20 GB to store the gradients, and the 100 GB for optimization related things, that is 140 GB. Just for a 10 billion parameter training.
Oh God.
Okay. So do you think it is very easy to train a 10 billion parameter model?
I don't think. Definitely.
Right? So retraining a model is not very easy.
Yeah.
Correct?
Certainly.
But we also want ways to be able to retrain and make our model very good.
Understood.
Correct?
Yeah.
So that is the problem right now.
And make it easier also.
Yeah. Okay. Right? So this 10 billion parameters, if I decide that I want to train all the parameters again, that is called full parameter fine tuning.
Full parameter fine tuning.
That I am going to train all the parameters
Okay,
again.
we discussed fine tuning, now it is full parameter fine tuning. All the parameters will be retrained.
Correct.
Okay.
I am guessing now you can imagine that we don't want to retrain all the parameters. Right?
Certainly, because the
Space, time,
capacity,
computation and all
definitely.
of that, right? I'm talking in terms of storage, but also the computation, the time, everything, right?
Certainly.
So there comes parameter efficient fine tuning.
Okay, or parameter, you can call it optimization also.
Yes, this is called PEFT. Parameter efficient fine tuning.
Okay.
Parameter efficient fine tuning.
So basically what maybe it's a guesswork, the important parameters you will pick up and fine tune them.
So we'll talk about that, how to achieve PEFT.
Okay.
Okay?
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
To an extent, yes.
Okay.
So I just drew this diagram. You remember this is neural network?
Yeah.
So I have now connected only 2 layers like this. All the nodes are connected
Will
to
be connected to different nodes.
Yes. So every connection is going to have a weight. And then there are biases.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
We know all of
Definitely.
this. So now there were different methods that were explored for parameter efficient fine tuning. Okay. One way is that what if after the entire thing we put one extra layer that we are going to use to train using the new data.
Okay.
But now see, in every model, there are 2 phases. One is the training phase. Now after we finish the training, there is the inference phase, or when we are going to use the model.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
So what happens during the training, we learn the weights and the biases. But when we use the model, what happens is that we actually do the calculation. You remember y equal to m express c. So once you have learned all the things, all the parameters, then you are just going to compute the output values for an input value, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that is called inference.
Inference basically deriving out of the
input,
yeah.
Right? So after training happens inference, when you give an input and you will get the output, right? Now the thing is that if we add one extra layer, okay, we will be able to train and we are not going to change the rest of the parameters. So we are going to do training and learn only these extra parameters.
Okay.
But now what happens is that inference time also increases because now there are so many extra parameters, right? So that was not considered a very good solution.
Okay.
So what better solution can be there, right? So this is one solution. So like this, there are many solutions.
One solution is adding another layer.
Okay. That we are not going to learn all the parameters.
But
these will be fixed.
Added layer we are going to.
So this added layer will learn the extra things that we need to learn for this particular domain.
Okay.
Like that, right? So it will have its own weights and biases.
Yeah.
But what happens is because of this, the inference also becomes slow. Right? So this is one way that you can add one layer at any of these points. You can add it in the end, you can add somewhere.
Yeah.
So this is one way of achieving parameter efficient fine tuning.
Okay.
But now there is some maths involved which is very, very interesting, and I want to tell you that so that you can understand what other ways are there, the better way. Okay. So at any particular layer, there are going to be lots of weights.
Yes.
You remember when I had taught you a bit about self-attention, I had told you that everything is represented in terms of matrix.
Yeah.
What is the impact of every word on every other word and all of that.
Remember.
Yes. So here also when we have so many weights now, they are represented in terms of matrices.
Okay.
So it is like one layer node. How is it connected to the next layer nodes?
Okay.
So suppose M nodes here, M nodes over here, the weight matrix will become M into M.
Right? Certainly.
How is every node connected to every other node? Yes. So every node is going to have a weight.
Yeah.
Correct? Now this weight matrix, it can be of tens of thousands, right? It can be like 1024 by 1024, 10,000 by 10,000.
Okay.
For simplicity, to just give an example, I am taking a 6 by 6 weight matrix.
Okay.
Very simple example.
Simple.
Okay. So if we take a 6 by 6 matrix, how many elements are going to be there inside that?
36.
36, right?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. Okay, now there are 36 elements.
Yeah.
Okay, now if there are 36 weights, what we have to do is we have to see that we have to change these weights somehow, right? We have to, when we do training, what are we doing? We are finding the new values of weights and biases.
Yes.
Correct. So one way would have been that I would have updated all the 36 weights, right?
But the better way will be which has more significance.
That is true.
Okay.
But think about it.
Okay.
So if I have another matrix which I can call as a delta W matrix.
Okay.
This is like how much do I have to change the weights for the new domain, right?
Okay.
For the specialization.
Basically
how
change
much?
in the weights.
Correct, change in the weights. So then now the goal becomes that I don't have to touch the already weights and biases.
Okay.
That is a pre-trained model. So now weights and biases are fixed.
Yeah.
But the goal becomes to find this delta W.
Delta W. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So delta W will also be 6 by 6.
6 by 6.
Right. Now the goal is to find these 36 elements.
Okay.
Right now. Okay. Now think about it. So now instead of this 6 by 6 matrix,
Okay.
what if I take two matrices of 6 by 1 and 1 by 6 size?
Okay.
So when I multiply these two matrices, what happens?
Again 36.
36 elements, right? But if we have these 6 into 1, so how does it look like? This is 1 by 6 and this is 6 by 1.
Yeah.
So how many elements are there now? 6 elements over
12,
here, 6,
12.
12 elements over
Yeah.
here. But when we multiply these two, how many elements do we get?
36.
36.
Yes.
So this is the concept of matrix decomposition.
Okay.
That instead of training to find 36 elements,
We are finding only 12 elements.
12 elements.
Okay. Making the task easier.
Correct.
Simpler.
So now, see, right now we have taken the example of 6 by 6, but it can be 1000 by 1000.
Definitely.
Right. So if it was 1000 by 1000, we would have to learn 10 power 6 elements. But now we would have to learn only 2000 elements.
2000. Okay.
Understanding?
Understood.
This is called low rank matrices because
Low rank.
this is like rank is 1.
1. Okay.
So this is called LoRA.
That is low rank matrices.
Low rank adaptation.
This is called LoRA.
Yes,
Okay.
this is called LoRA.
Okay.
This is parameter efficient fine tuning. That instead of finding 36 new elements, now we will be finding 12 new elements.
Okay. Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Yes. So this is called low rank adaptation.
Adaptation.
Just one more thing over here. Just think about it.
Sure.
Now, see, if I am taking 12 elements instead of 36 elements,
Yeah.
obviously efficiency somewhere will go for
Compromised.
Yeah. So it is a trade-off, right? But if we consider computation, right, because we are saving so much of computation, like think about 10 power 6 and 2000,
Yeah.
this trade-off is considered okay.
Okay. Okay.
But if you still want to adjust it, what you could do is you could take a 6 by 2 and a 2 by 6 matrix.
Yeah, you are adding to it.
Yes, so then it would look like 2 rows and this and then 2 and
Basically
this.
24 elements.
Yes, 24 elements. So if I take 6 by 2 and 2 by 6, if the efficiency will become more, but computation will also become
Yeah,
more.
it will take some time, but efficiency will improve.
Yes,
Okay.
so that you can adjust using that how many rows and columns you want. This number is called rank.
Okay.
That is why low rank adaptation. So if you take only one row, if you take 6 by 1, 1 by 6, that is rank 1.
Low rank adaptation.
Yes.
This is also low rank.
This is
with
also,
rank 2.
This is with rank 2.
Okay.
Like this you can take with rank 3. You might now understand that rank will obviously be lesser than the size of the
Definitely,
matrix,
definitely,
right?
definitely.
Right. So it can be rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
But as you increase your rank, the computation that you require will also be more, but efficiency will also
Will
be more.
increase. Yeah.
So this is called low rank adaptation.
Okay, great.
So what is happening in parameter efficient fine tuning? That in these weights and biases are frozen.
Frozen.
For few layers, for few important layers, what we are doing is we are going to retrain for these 12 parameters or for the low rank.
12 or 24, whatever
Yes.
we decide.
So
Okay.
low rank matrices.
Low rank matrices.
Interesting.
Definitely.
So now the last topic is that how can we make this even more efficient?
Even after low rank, you want to
Yes.
make it further efficient.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
without increasing the computation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you remember we started with that every parameter, every weight of bias in the end is a decimal number of 16 bytes or 32 bytes,
32
right?
bytes, yeah.
Now, what if I can have the same understanding or the same precision by a 4-bit instead of a 16-bit or instead of a 32-bit?
Okay.
So, if that was possible, then we would just have the saving of by 4, right? Instead of 32-bit, we are using 4-bit. So, the saving is directly by 8 times 32 and 4.
Oh, yeah.
Right, 16 by 4.
1/8.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So, you are going to save a lot of computation. So, this is called quantization.
Quantization.
That every parameter, you are going to quantize it to 4 bits.
Okay.
Right.
From 16 bits or 32 bits, you are quantizing it to 4 bits. Okay.
This is called QLoRA, quantized low rank adaptation. Okay. Quantization is a generic concept, but when you apply it with LoRa over here, it's called QLoRA.
Okay.
Now, one more interesting point over here. Like normally people would think that when you represent the same thing in 4 bits, obviously the precision is going to go for a toss. Like people do think like that, right? But there are white papers that have proven that no, that is not true. Okay. So what happens in quantization? I'll tell you one very interesting thing.
Sure.
Have you seen this curve somewhere?
Certainly.
This is a Gaussian curve or a bell curve, like it is very common, right?
It is commonly used in normal theorems, normal probability.
Very good, in probability and all, right? So what usually it says is central limit theorem, if you have heard of it. Right, so what it says that usually the parameters like land up in this particular curve.
99.7% will come.
Correct, right? So the same weights and biases, actually same thing applies over here, and every parameter can be represented using 4 numbers on this curve.
Okay.
So that is what 4 bits is used for.
Oh, great.
So now instead of representing everything in 32 bits or 16 bits, you represent using only 4 bits that are there on this curve.
On this curve.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So that is how quantization is.
Very nice, very interesting.
So this is QLoRA. So this is LoRa, QLoRa. This is how fine tuning happens.
Low rank adaptation and
quantized low rank adaptation. Okay. Interesting?
Yeah, very interesting.
So there are libraries and there are companies that are specially working on this, that how can we apply algorithms for LoRa, QLoRA, how can we make it better.
Very interesting. So, thank you.
Did you enjoy?
Certainly.
What topic should you learn next?
That you can only tell me.
No,
but
you
yes,
guys should tell.
Of course. Your audience can tell better. But if you have found this interesting, do like, share and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thumbs up for Papa. Okay, bye.
Thank you.